everyone, Rannie Au GoGo here, and this is Chapter 2 of my course in Magic and Spiritual Transformation called Magick Au Go Go. So Chapter 2, we are actually focusing on cleansing and releasing so that we can better welcome in the energies that we want to manifest. In the last video, I gave some general tips on how to spiritually cleanse the home, but now I really want to focus on the elements of air and fire so we could talk about cleansing and clearing with sacred smoke. So there's a wide variety of herbs, resins, and incenses that you can use to clear space. But I want to give you a couple of notes before I get into the burning of them bushes. So first, use what's available to you, When I first started getting into magic, I wanted to buy every essential oil and herb that was available. And I'm glad that I did because I was able to compare the different herbs and oils that were on the market. But basically what it all boiled down to was they all work the same when it comes to cleansing. Like if the herb was made for cleansing, there isn't necessarily one that's superior to the other. It's more about your preference. Like, what do you like the smell of? There are so many plants that have the same uses. What I want to express to you is the importance of your intention and your preference, what you actually enjoy. It would be strange to believe that you would have to burn an herb that you don't enjoy the smell of to clear space, because then you're just infusing the space with a smell that you don't enjoy. That seems a little bit counterintuitive in my opinion. But what do I know? I also want to stress the importance of knowing where your plants are being sourced. Certain herbs like white sage and palo santo are being widely over harvested, and I would suggest, if you can, just avoid those because you don't need them. You can use rosemary. You want to be mindful of where these herbs are being sourced. I'm seeing a lot of pages on Etsy that are procuring large amounts of these plants, and they're saying wild harvested, and to me and a lot of my indigenous friends, that doesn't necessarily sit right. I personally have 3 white sage plants that I use personally. I love white sage, but at the same time, I wouldn't go out and buy any. I see it being sold for very cheap on Amazon, and just knowing that plant in particular is being over harvested, it makes me wonder why it's so cheap, why it's so readily available. You have to be mindful of these things, because if you're going to be using a plant to spiritually cleanse your home, you don't want it to have a shady backstory. So really be mindful of that. Same with palo santo. Just because white sage and palo santo have gotten really popular within the New Age community doesn't mean that they're the end-all be-all or the best or even the most appropriate. Do your research. Do what feels right, but to be honest with you, let's not add to the problem of these plants being over harvested by having so much of an interest in them. They're great plants. I have great respect for these plants, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to perpetuate the use of these plants that are endangered or over harvested. So also, like I said, if you don't like the smell of a plant, don't use it. I mean, even like if you don't like the smell of smoke, don't use it. There are other options. You can use essential oils. You can use essential oil sprays. You can use, waters infused with herbs as a spray. You don't necessarily have to cleanse with smoke. I know some people who get kind of offended, like, I hate smoke. Oh, I couldn't get into spirituality because I just could never burn the thing. And I'm like, the thing is, spirituality is personal to everyone. So if you don't like burning shit, you don't have to. Unless you start working with specific deities who are asking you to burn shit for them, then you don't need to burn shit, okay? So it's not that big a deal. I personally love burning shit. I'm a fire sign. I'm an Aries, Shout out to all my fire peeps, getting in trouble, keeping it real. But no, seriously, I love burning shit. Another thing that you want to be mindful of when it comes to sacred herbs is trying to think about what your ancestors burned, Like, try to connect with your ancestry. See what herbs and plants and flowers, resins that your ancestors used. And I'm not saying that you can only use the plants of your ancestors, but it's nice to do the research and try to get into that shit. Actually, chapter 3 of my Magick Au Go Go course, I will be getting more into ancestors and ancestral healing and all that good shit. I'm like really excited about that, but first we have to do the cleansing and the clearings. So yes, learning the plant medicines and the clearing plants of your ancestors will help deepen your relationship with spirit, your lineage, and with the plants. Also, it's very important to be mindful of your pets. You know, if you have a dog or especially a cat, because they're very sensitive, you don't want to be burning stuff without opening any doors or windows to move that stuff. Actually, if you have a cat, I would suggest that you just keep them in another room and you can burn and clear space, and make sure you have all the windows open to clear out all of that stuff before bringing the cat back in. Actually, Tupac Shakur enjoys when I burn stuff, even though I do guide the smoke out. There are times that I've been in a bad mood and he will find a bundle and like nudge at it for me to burn it. He's a witchy dog, what can I say? I love that little guy. But that doesn't mean I'm not mindful of him when I'm burning stuff. I make sure I keep the windows open and make sure all the smoke goes out. He actually runs outside when I burn the smoke. It's a whole thing. I should videotape it because it's really funny. I burn the stuff, he runs to the back door, and then he's like standing at the back door barking at whatever things I'm releasing, and then he runs after it, and then he comes back around. Also, save your ashes. When you burn plants, you accumulate these ashes, and what I like to do is I save them. Every other new moon, I bury them as an offering to give back to Mother Earth. Sometimes I put the ashes in my compost because it's still going back to Mother Earth because I use it for gardening. It's really good to connect with every part of the plant, even the burnt parts, even the ashes are very sacred. Sometimes when I do ritual, I take the ashes and I put it on my third eye to help connect me with plant and spirit. If you live in an apartment, go ahead, dispose of it how you want, but I personally like burying my ashes or giving it back to earth. Just something to think about. So I kind of touched on this earlier, but alternatives to clearing with smoke, if you don't like the smoke, if you're sensitive to smoke, I get it, that's fine. You can use cleansing and clearing sprays. You can have sea salt in a bowl with other clearing herbs if you want, and place that around spaces to help absorb the negative energies. Essential oil diffusers are really great to use. That incorporates the element of water with air to help clear and cleanse space. I also use rattles or drums or bells to clear space with sound. Sound is a very powerful tool. You can move energy with sound. You can clear energy with sound. I'm going to get more into sound in a later chapter, but yes, just really think of sound as a vibrational energy that can be used to your benefit magically and spiritually. You can also hang herbs to ward away negative energies and welcome higher vibrational energies into your space. This beautiful wall hanging is from Love and Leaf Boutique. Like I mentioned, there are plenty of plants for cleansing negative energy, clearing space, and for protection. I have a free PDF available at magickaugogo.com, MAGICKAUGOGO, with a whole list of plants that you can use to clear space. This PDF includes the plant name, the signs related to the plant, the chakras that are related to the plant, and some of the special properties of each of these plants. So head over to magickaugogo.com and get your free PDF. Some of my personal favorites for clearing space are eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is super powerful, super healing, super cleansing. It's a plant that healing deities that I personally work with have asked for it as offerings to help clear negative energy and to help clear illness. So I really love working with eucalyptus. It's easy to get. It's not scarce. It kind of burns like crazy, so you got to be careful when burning eucalyptus, but it smells great, and I really love eucalyptus. Another one of my favorites, and it's really easy to get, is rosemary. Rosemary is super healing, super cleansing. Like seriously, rosemary is probably in my top 3 herbs. It has many purposes. It can be used as offerings to many different deities. It's a really great all-purpose herb. Super clearing, super cleansing, super healing, good for the third eye. It helps with memory and focus. It's a great one. I really love it. Sweetgrass is another great herb for clearing. Sweetgrass helps connect to higher vibrational energies. It welcomes your spirit guides into the space. It's really good to use for honoring Mother Earth and to connect you with Mother Earth. My ancestors really tend to love it, and I grow some of my own, so I just love the smell. It kind of smells like baked vanilla bread, but also that's one of those plants where you want to be mindful of where you get it. I know that there are farms that grow it, so I would take that route, or it might be a good idea to try to support indigenous businesses when it comes to purchasing sweetgrass. Cedar is another great herb that I like working with. It's very protective. It clears negative energy and invokes stability and strength and grounding. It really has this like very strong grandfather energy to it. There's a deep ancient wisdom that comes with working with cedar for clearing space or grounding or connecting to ancestors. So that's another great one to work with. Cedar really helps you go deep in meditation, so I love using cedar for not just clearing space, but for meditation and for connecting with spirit. So those are just some of my favorites. I have a full list posted at magicaugogo.com, so go ahead and check it out. So basically, when you clear with sacred smoke, you can clear and cleanse practically anything. You can clear your aura. Every day I cleanse myself with smoke at the end of every day, because I work with spirit every day. It's a must, you know. I cleanse all of myself in smoke before I go to bed, and I clear my room as well. Whenever I travel, I always bring a clearing bundle or essential oil diffuser if the room doesn't allow smoke to clear the room of negative bullshit. Believe me, I've traveled a lot, and clearing space from a hotel room before you sleep there is super important, especially for people who are sensitive like me. Clearing space when you travel is kind of important. Also, when you get home from traveling, I always clear my luggage and everything with smoke when I get home from traveling, because, you know, when your luggage is on that airplane and absorbing all that funk from the airport and all that shit, you know, it's just good to clear with smoke. Cleansing with plants and smoke is such a helpful ally in my practice, at least. I cleanse and clear crystals with smoke when I bring them home. I cleanse and clear space with smoke before a ritual, before I open a circle. It's just part of my protocol. I cleanse my home with smoke probably once a month at least, usually right before the new moon. I'll give it a good smoke out to just clear all the negative energy and all the stagnant energies in order to welcome that fresh new moon energy. So now I'm going to show you how to cleanse yourself with sacred smoke using this beautiful Yerba Santa white rose and white lavender bundle made from my dear friend at Love and Leaf. As I light this up, I want to remind you that the most important part of this cleansing is your intention. So you can use any plants that are made for clearing, but what's really important is your intention. So as I move the smoke around me, I am stating, into this smoke, I'm releasing anything of low vibration. Anything that is not here for my greater good is being moved and released through this smoke. Got to get the hands. I always sage my hands because hands carry a lot of energy. Just moving that stagnant energy, any low vibrational energies are being moved and released through this sacred smoke with love and gratitude. You know, you're working with these plants to release negative bullshit, so do it with gratitude. Move the smoke through your field. Try to get under your feet if you can get your foot up. There you go, kind of. There you go. You gotta give her a hand, you know. It's not easy for a pug to stand on one leg. And move that smoke around. Remember to hold on to that intention that you are clearing. that negative bullshit, clearing any energies that were thrown at you that do not belong to you. You don't gotta hold on to that shit. Just release it through the smoke. The spirit of these plants are your allies in releasing all that does not serve you and your highest good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, I want to note that when you are releasing, just hold on to those feelings of releasing, you know, like you're moving that energy. You're working with this beautiful sacred plant to move that energy. You can dance with it if you want, you know, get into it. You're releasing that weight, releasing that bullshit. Yeah, I don't know, you don't have to dance with it, but if you want to, do what feels right. There's really no wrong way to do this. Yeah, that's that good shit. So those are just a few notes on clearing space and cleansing space with the elements of air and fire, using that smoke, cleansing with sacred smoke. It's been done for thousands of years, and it's such an important part of my practice. I just love that smoke, y'all. So thank you guys so much for joining me. If you'd like, you can donate at magicaugogo.com. It would really help me continue making these classes to help y'all with, learning magic and spiritual transformation. Thank you guys. Take care.